Jeffries, and Matt Pangrak. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, how you doing?
I'm good. I got stuck yesterday, Mark.
What happened?
I got stuck. I went out fishing with Jared Miller.
Former Elite Series guy.
If anybody knows Jared Miller, he will test the limits of where you can and cannot put a bass boat.
It's
he can
been
also
proven.
Fix anything, and if there's a part that you've never heard of, he's got 3 backups to it and has replaced it 4 times. He's just one of those. Do you have any of those friends where you're just like, you've known him for years, and every time you see him, you're still like, how did you know that? Yeah, that's how he is.
Greg Wade is my guy.
Anyway, we went out to Dirty Bird, and we tried to go up the river in the Bass Cat, which I'm shocked at. That Lynx is a big boat, right?
Yeah, but that water's a little skinny.
Well, I can officially float it in about 17 inches of water.
It's pretty skinny up in the river.
So the sandbars had moved because of the big flood and all that.
Yeah.
We got stuck in the middle of one.
And how long did you get stuck?
About a half an hour.
Okay, so who had to strip down to their underwear and get in the water?
Miller. I was on the trolling.
Why not you?
Because Miller said, go this way. And I said, are you sure about that? Well, I was on the trolling motor. I put the pliers under the trolling motor, so the prop was just barely under the water. Yeah. Then I was rocking it, and then he was on the back pushing, and we got it finally off. But on the way out, we did find a channel that was, so we were taking the rod and sticking the rod in the water to see where the deeper water was. So we're good to go now. We can get in there. But we were stuck for a while. We didn't catch anything.
Nothing.
Like I caught 1 5-inch crappie, and we mixed it up between crappie and bass fishing, and we never had a bass bite.
That's it.
And we caught 1 6-inch crappie.
It was probably chocolate milk, wasn't it?
No, it was actually in really good shape.
Really?
Yeah, looked really good.
Huh. All right, man.
That was my yesterday after BTL.
I can't believe you let Miller get in the water. How cold was the water?
It was 46.
It's kind of chilly, dude.
Yeah, but a lot warmer than it could have been.
Did you, buy him a 6-pack or anything for his troubles?
No, he was in the water for maybe 5-10 minutes pushing.
It's a long time.
He said that his feet went numb, so it didn't hurt.
Oh, jeez.
Like I said, he's that dude, man. He's the MacGyver, man.
Wow. All right. Well, good show today. We're going to have Kyle Welcher on, talk a little poker and bass fishing. Can't wait for that. And then tomorrow we're going to have Matt Herron and Chris Prather on. So good shows remaining today. All right, Matthew, I have in my hands, and I'm not going to say the names, but I did receive my 2020 Hall of Fame ballot for the class of 2020.
Wait, how did you get so you are a member of, how do you get
I am on the voting panel.
For the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. This is the thing that's in Springfield.
Yes.
Where they have the plaques up on the wall and So you're a voting member.
I am a voting media.
So how do you vote? What do you get? You can just vote for...
Well, off this list, glance real quick.
Okay.
All right, I select 5 people. I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And then the people with the most
points get in. Yeah. So some interesting names. I am not allowed to say
who's on it or who's not.
Yeah, but I will say this: there are some very deserving people.
Be careful
on this list.
You don't want to lose your voting.
No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
You want to lose your voting privileges.
They do a great job, though, giving a description of the contributions that these people have made to the bass fishing industry and world. You have industry people, you have media people, obviously you have anglers on this list. But what I do have, and I will say this, I have 4 names that I am going to say, and I want you to tell me whether or not they are in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame.
Okay.
You do not have the list pulled up in front of you.
Just like I did not have the list of presidents yesterday.
You kind of got that right. I was kind of wrong, too. Instead of John Quincy Adams.
Screwed by Quincy.
All right. Orlando Wilson.
No.
That is correct. Trip Weldon.
Yes.
That is incorrect.
No, he's not.
He is not.
Oh.
Stanley Mitchell.
Yes.
He is not.
Stanley Mitchell is not in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Charlie Reed.
Are these all guys who aren't?
Answer the question.
I would say no.
He is not. He is not. So 4 names. And I will say this. These 4 names are not on the list for this year.
Be careful.
I am really surprised that Orlando Wilson is not in the Hall of Fame. And maybe that's because there is a special kind of feeling toward Orlando, because that's really one of the guys that I grew up watching on the TNN outdoor block. I don't know if his tournament record was stellar, but the contribution
but it
that
has
he
nothing,
made,
nothing to do with tournament.
Yeah,
There's a lot
and
of guys in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame that didn't fish tournament.
that TNN outdoor block and his show, and just him being the personality that he was in all the shows that I met him at, and just I think his television show was one of the best ever made on that outdoor block. And then do I think he'll get in someday? Yeah. What about Trip Weldon? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Trip someday, I think he deserves to be in there. Same with Stanley Mitchell.
Are there any controversial guys? You like the baseball is always controversial.
Yeah.
As far as like Barry Bonds and Pete Rose.
I don't know.
And all guys.
I haven't really went in and looked at the list and go, wow, how'd that guy
That's
get
what
in?
I said. Well, I wonder if there anybody that like gets snubbed every year. Like, are you on it one year, or like once you're on it, like let's say you don't get selected, are you on it the next year? Like,
I don't know
are you
what the
always
criteria.
on the ballot?
I don't think so. So it will be quite interesting to see how the ballots play out this year.
And are you going to actually go to the induction this year?
I didn't go last year. I don't know. It's a scheduling thing, just depending on what's going on. So it's a really, really, really good event, and I greatly appreciate the people that are involved with this. Steve Bowman, heavily involved with the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Darren Cole, heavily involved. Dave Preck, former VP of media and editorial at Bassmaster, is heavily involved with the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. So I greatly appreciate them letting me be a part of the voting group for the ballot in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. All right, next thing, Matthew, I have a message here from a gentleman by the name of Dave Fuhrer, maybe related to Grant Fuhrer. I have no idea.
The Oilers and Blues goalie from back in the day?
Yeah.
Same as Ken Brodeur.
Yeah. Grant Fuhrer, he was a good one. All right, anyway, he said, I would like to mail you some lures, but can't find a P.O. box and a street number. All right, folks, I'm telling you, this week I'm going to get that taken care of, because we are going to do a new feature once the ice gets off of the ponds and the lakes here in Oklahoma.
It ain't frozen. You just don't want people sending stuff to your home address.
Well, I don't. Would you? Here, I could give them your address. You want me to give them your address?
No.
I'm sure you'd have stalkers, man, as many fans as you have.
Yeah, really.
People would be stalking you down.
Right.
Anyway, so I assure everybody out there I'm going to try and get the P.O. box this week. And then what we're going to do is you can send Matt a lure, and then we're gonna film it, and we're gonna try and catch something.
You gotta send a couple. We're gonna have the BTL lure viewer challenges that'll be up on the BTL YouTube channel. Which, as soon as the show's over, the Jimmy Houston.
You keep saying that every show.
No, I said yesterday that it'd be up today after the show, so I'm just letting people know it'll be up today after the show over on the BTL YouTube channel.
All right, so there you have it. All right. Next novel.
Holy cow. What is that?
It's a long one.
You're not going to read the whole thing.
No. Heavens,
you going to paraphrase it?
Yeah. Yeah, basically. All right. Because this is not the only novel that I've received on this subject matter. It has to do with kayak fishing. All right. And I'm going to say this right now. I made the statement on this show that you're not going to catch my 6'4" freak of nature body in a kayak simply because I have a fear of falling out. I do.
I have not. I don't think we've ever really discussed this. Jeffries is not a fan of water.
I do not like water.
Can you swim even?
Yeah. Yeah, I was a tadpole in junior high.
I mean, I fished some tournaments. I fished some tournaments that Jeffries has been in, back when I had my 18.5-foot boat, and I didn't hesitate to make a run across the water, and Mark just doesn't do it.
No.
You don't go out in rough water. You don't go near the edge of the boat.
I don't like it. I just don't. I've been in it. Hell, I've been out on Lake Erie
Didn't you
for crying out
fall
loud.
in a couple years ago?
Yeah. Almost died.
By yourself?
By myself on Lake Tenkiller. It was in the wintertime.
You had to get on the ladder on the back of the boat?
Hung onto the ladder for 30 minutes until a dude came down because my fat butt was too fat. And mind you, that was 30 pounds heavier than I am now.
Okay, anyway.
There was a dude up in the house and he saw what was going on and he walked down and he helped me.
Part of
dock.
Jeffrey's aversion to kayaking has nothing to do with a vendetta against kayakers.
No!
It's more so
I think it's cool.
the water level balance issue.
I just don't see how I can do it and do it in a confident manner.
All right, leading to this email then.
All right, so he says that I keep ripping on the kayak guys and we should talk more about the kayak guys. Dude, I'm telling you right now, if I knew more about it and if maybe I need to take a month and actually kind of explore the world of kayak bass fishing. If there's anybody out there that wants to throw a kayak down when the water temp is at least 70 degrees and get my big 6'4" freak of nature in one of these kayaks, I am more than willing to try. Notice I said try, Matthew.
Okay.
All right. Now, have you ever been in a kayak?
No. No. Yes. I've been in kayak-like vessels. I fished out of a paddle boat before.
A tube? You ever
I
done
fished
the
out of a
thing?
tube. I fished out of a paddle boat. I fished out of a canoe. But I have not been in one of the high-tech kayaks, like the Hobie or Jackson or whatever they all. I have not been in one of those yet.
I'm sorry, folks. I have a fear right now. So if somebody wants to help me out and overcome my fear of tipping over in a kayak and then having this 6-foot water moccasin just wrap around me. I don't like snakes. I don't like the water. I just don't like that stuff. What are you doing?
I'm getting ready for the next segment because I'm
Dude, you have plenty of time before the show to get ready for the next segment.
No, it has to do with the message that I've got. So I've got to make sure I've got it lined up because I'm trying to help this kid out.
Okay, I got you. So anyway, Sheldon, his name is Sheldon Goby. Rhymes with Hobie.
Mm-hmm. Goby, Hobie.
Yeah. Anyway, so I have nothing against the kayak guys. I will do my best to try and showcase. Heck, do a little homework, Matthew. Who do we need to get on the show? Who's like the number one kayak guy?
Ron Champion is the guy we can get on.
Can you get him on? Can you work on doing that?
Yeah, I can work on that this week.
All right, work on that this week. I'd love to get one of the kayak guys on here and maybe he or she can reduce my fear of tipping over in a kayak.
That Christine Fisher chick is also pretty good at catching them. Like she wins a lot, catches a lot of big fish. All right. I got to help out.
Then I have one more thing.
Okay,
but keep going.
We'll break it up then. You do too. I'll do my viewer thing. So I got a couple messages. The TBF National Championship is coming up on Grand. And I don't know if this kid's found a boat yet or not, but I got a couple messages of this kid's from Idaho, kind of around, I guess, where Polinick is. 22 years old, qualified for it. And it's like March 5th through 9th or the first week of March there. Anyway, guy needs a tournament boat to use. 22 years old, coming all the way from Idaho. So I know we've got a lot of listeners out there in Oklahoma area. If you can let this kid borrow your boat for the TBF National Championship on Grand. It's a pretty safe lake to let someone borrow your boat on, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you try to pull an Edwin. Run way up the river.
Way up the elk, yeah.
I mean,
not a good thing.
It's not like you're riding across Grand and blow a lower unit off.
Yeah.
But his name is Lauren Torek, LOREN_TOROK on Instagram. And if you have a boat in the Oklahoma area for that first week of March, shoot him a message and maybe you can help him out.
There you go.
But I got a couple messages like, this kid's really good. Like, he just...
Idaho.
Yeah.
All right.
The next Brandon Polinick.
Very cool. All right, what else you got?
No, that was it. That was my thing. So now back to your last.
All right, last thing. Some sad news to report, folks. And I don't know how many of you out there have watched the 20 Feet Deep documentary, Dancing with the Devil. It was the in-depth look at the life of Robert Hamilton Jr. Matt and I went to Jackson, Mississippi, and a really, really sad story how he pawned the, what was it, 1996? Is that right?
Before that.
90.
92? I don't know. He pawned it. He won the Bassmaster Classic and then pawned the trophy for
Yeah,
him.
and we kind of were on a mission to find that trophy. We found the trophy and then kind of documented where Robert was now, and he's been through some very rough times. If you haven't seen that documentary, some chilling parts of that documentary that you need to go back and watch about the journey of Robert Hamilton Jr., but I received word from a gentleman by the name of Mike who actually helped us out with the documentary that unfortunately Robert Hamilton Jr. has fallen into the walls of the chambers. He's actually in prison for the next 4 years due to being convicted of, let's just say he did some things with somebody else's money that he shouldn't have done. That's the best, easy way that I can put it. It's unfortunate. The man has been through a lot, but at the same time, I truly believe, having spending time with this guy, that a lot of this stuff was self-inflicted, and he's had a ton of help. A ton of people have tried to reach out and help Robert, and it's very, very unfortunate that this path has taken the next turn in his life, and unfortunately, he's going to spend the next 4 years in a Mississippi state prison. So that's kind of an update on that. As I mentioned, if you have not seen the documentary, take the hour, watch the documentary. It's over on BassZone.com under the 20 Feet Deep section. And I know the mugshot that I saw, Matthew, you saw it too. He did not look good. Did not look good at all.
No.
And I'm actually considering, and I've actually reached out to an official with the Missouri State Prison to see
Mississippi,
to see if they would allow us to do either a phone interview or a face-to-face interview with Robert as a follow-up, and I've not heard back yet.
An in-prison interview.
Yeah, you ever been to prison?
No.
You've never been to a prison?
I've been to Alcatraz. Does that count?
Well, I guess kind of.
Does Alcatraz
Have you
count?
ever been to a prison where they had inmates?
No. Yeah, I one time, like when I was a kid, we toured. Was
it a jail or a
jail,
prison? Because there's a big difference.
I have never been to a prison, Mark.
I have.
To visit someone?
Dude, I've been to Big Mac. McAllister. Big Mac.
Is that what that is down there?
Yeah. Well, there's two. There's Stringtown and then there's Big Mac.
So what?
Big Mac is in McAllister.
What were you visiting?
It was when I was working for UPS, and at the time, one of the activities that the prisoners had in McAllister was making aprons. Okay? You know, like Home Depot or Lowe's aprons.
Right.
That was one of their activities. So what happened was they had one of their sewing machines got shipped UPS and it got damaged. Well, this was a $5,500 machine.
So you had to go pick it up.
No. I had to go inspect the damage.
Oh, and it was installed?
Oh, yeah. So I went to the prison, went through all the protocol that I had to go through. Then guess where the machine was?
Were you wearing the little brown shorts?
Dude, I was wearing a suit.
Okay?
I was
okay.
management.
Okay.
Jeez, I wasn't delivering it. What are you, crazy?
I didn't know at that point.
Oh, man, I was styling and profiling in the suit. So after you go through all the protocol, guess where the freaking machine was?
Did they do a cavity search?
No. Guess where it was? It was inside the compound, in the middle of the freaking compound.
Well, where would you expect it to be?
Well, like maybe in shipping and receiving. That's a good spot for it.
I got you.
All right. So guess what I had to do? I had to walk through the general population to get to where the sewing machine was that was damaged.
But you had someone with you, right?
I had 2 guards with me. But what do you think was being said to me as I walked through the general population in a suit?
Yeah, you're the man.
Oh, dude, it was scary. Scary. I can't even go down the path of saying some of the stuff that was said to me. So I got out of there and I was like, holy moly, there is no way in God's green earth do I want to ever be in prison. Because it was a scary, scary place. Do you think I denied that claim or paid it?
I think you paid it.
I paid it and got the hell out of there, man.
You know, my mom goes to the prison every week.
Really?
Spends like 3 days a week in there teaching inmates math and reading.
Really?
Yep.
Good for, well, those are, dude, I was walking by the jail cells.
Yeah, well,
she's in a classroom.
With the guys right out of their jail cells.
Yeah, but they're trying to be reformed. They're trying to, anyway. Jeez.
I mean, my mom doesn't make it sound as scary as you just did.
It was bad, dude. Bad. So that memory will forever be entrenched in my brain. Prison, not a good place. Anyway, so I am working on, hopefully we will see if I get a response back and do a follow-up with Robert Hamilton Jr. I don't even know if he would agree to do.
And my mom's like
I have no idea.
71 years old.
Yeah.
No problem going into
Well,
the
I
jail.
was 29 then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Little young dude that had no idea what he was getting involved with. Anyway. So
where were you
we
more
will see how
scared?
that-
Denying Jimmy Houston's claim, or the Jimmy Houston claim, or the jail? Like if you had to
prison.
redo one, which one would you rather?
Prison.
You would rather deny Jimmy Houston's
Yes.
damaged grafts than have to go back in for the prison sewing machine. I mean,
Prison, man. Prison was scary.
Okay.
Scary. This is not the county jail, dude.
no, I know.
This is like dudes on
Violent
death row.
crimes.
Yeah. Very
They
violent.
got nothing to lose.
It was scary. And the guards kept telling me, man, don't worry about those guys. Don't pay them any attention. Just go in here, take care of your business, and leave.
So that's what you did.
All right, that's what I did. All right, coming back with Kyle Welcher here on a Tuesday. Everybody, stay tuned.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. Upgrade to HDS Live with a Ghost trolling motor, live sight transducer, or Structure Scan 3D, and get up to $500 cash back.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Luz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven. I want to share with you a new product we got coming out from Sunline. This is the FC leader size spools that we have now. We've gotten a lot of requests for this. A lot of you guys use fluorocarbon for leaders only, myself included. And one of the problems you have is when you have a 200-yard spool, that might last you 2, 3, 4 years. You might even lose it before you even get done with the spool. So we've gone to a little smaller spool. These are 50-yard spool sizes. You know, that way you're not holding your line on forever. You can keep your line fresh, use it when you can, stores real easily in the boat. We got all of our popular line sizes that you're used to with our Sniper from 5 to 14 pound. If you guys are looking for a line that you're only tying for a leader, go check out Sunline FC Leader 100% fluorocarbon and give it a try.
Blue Water by TH Marine, offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
While I travel the country on the Bassmaster Elite Series, I simply can't let the weather be the reason I don't win $100,000. That's why I use AFCO clothing to keep me warm, dry, and protected from whatever Mother Nature wants to throw at me. My season depends on it. My career depends on it. AFCO, any fish, any water.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a grate for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday. Bringing back bad memories there. I thought I told you that story, dude.
What?
About Big Mac.
Oh, going to a prison?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I found it on pokernews.com. I have
What's
not
that?
seen this one. It's the play-by-play. Because obviously we have Kyle Welcher on, who you were excited to talk about. 2013. This is from January, February, March, April, May, June. July 6, 2013.
Yeah.
Open seat on 407, below the table 407 dealer. Our poker news reporters rushed over to the table to see if they could get any details. One spotted the 3 seat sitting with over 50,000 in chips and asked for his details. Unfortunately, that player couldn't speak English.
Yeah.
True?
Yeah.
So 2 players at the table helped give us a rundown on the hand. This is the main event of World Series of Poker. Mark Jeffries opened, and then another player 3-bet before Angel Funes Rio flattened next to act. Flatted next to act. Jeffries pushed out a 4-bet. You 4-bet on that hand?
Yeah.
Jeez, what were you thinking?
I was
11 hands
aggressive.
into the World Series?
I was playing aggressive.
Jeffries pushed out a 4-bet totaling 2,000. You started with what, 10,000?
Yeah.
Totaling 2,000 to force the initial 3-better out as Rios came along. The flop fell. 5, 5, 6, and Jeffries checked before Rios continued with a bet only to have Jeffries check raise.
Yeah.
So now you 4-betted and you checked raise.
I'm trying to force him out. It's early. You would think the guy would have folded.
Rios called, and when the turn landed a 10, Jeffries tapped the table again, and Rios fired out another bet. Jeffries responded with yet another check raise, and Rios called as the river blanked out. Jeffries checked for a third time. Now he got a little scared.
Yeah.
So you should have just kicked Jeffries checked for a third time before
Flipped him
Rios
over.
bet, only to have Jeffries now check raise all in. You 4-betted and check raise 3 times.
I did.
The turn.
I did.
Oh my God! The flop, the turn, and the river you check raised on.
Yeah.
After 4-betting the opener, I didn't know any of these details.
Oh yeah.
Only to have Jeffries now check raise all in. Rios called and tabled his pocket aces, which was enough to take the pot once Jeffries tabled his pocket queens. Following the triple check raise with his pocket queens, Jeffries is the first casualty here on day 1A.
That was it. And then you know what ended up happening? I ended up getting a spot in the main event at the Philippines for, back then it was Bodog Poker. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. But there was a typhoon that came through the Philippines and the event got canceled. Dude, they were going to pay for my airfare. They were paying for everything, the seats. So you know what they ended up doing? They ended up sending me a check. I'm not going to say how much it was, but let's just say it was well worth it. I was glad I didn't have to go to the Philippines.
First out. Now, here's the side part to that, and I know we got Kyle on the line, but here's the side part. So that was going on the exact same time that iCast was going on.
Yeah.
And it was at Fish and Chips, and it was for Jeffrey's 50th birthday party to send him to the World Series to play in the main event.
A lot of the
Kevin
people
Van Dam, Skeet Reese, Dean Rojas, Crete, McClellan. I'm leaving them out. Gary Judas, a bunch of people in the industry.
in.
I called all these guys up, and they all pitched in $500 to $1,000. So there at iCast, Jeffries is walking around. You said, hey, I won't be at iCast this year. That was when it was in Vegas because I'll be playing in World. Well, Jeffries is there bright and early in the morning. He was trying to avoid those guys like the plague. I'm like, dude, you've got a great story. You're the first out. You were ashamed and angry.
Dude, I was getting interviewed all over the place. I mean,
And
the
so you
phone
had to
was
walk, hey,
blowing up.
Jeffries, how'd it go?
Yeah.
Well, dude, not good.
It was cool. I mean, I was being interviewed by all these poker magazines and poker
Didn't
sites.
the guy with the lizard eyes, Greg Raymer?
Yeah.
No, not Greg Raymer. Yeah, Greg Raymer, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had won it before.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris Moneymaker. All these guys were coming out. It was cool.
Anyway, all right, let's talk to Kyle Welcher.
All right, let's bring him in. Kyle, you there, man?
I'm here.
All right, man. Thanks for taking time out. First time on the show. And I want to do this. I want to talk a little fishing first. Really good performance at the SJR. Talk a little bit about that first event, man.
Yeah, I was really happy to get out of there with a decent showing. The way that the week kind of unfolded, a lot of unknown things were happening, especially for my first elite event. A lot of crazy things were changing, and in Florida, change is not always a good thing because it's really, really hard to locate these fish because these lakes are so big and there's so much cover. So I was really, really nervous after we had 2 postponed days. So to get out of there with the top 10, I'm extremely happy about that. All I did was I just resorted back to run around flipping, pennywort mats specifically in current. Those are super high percentage areas whenever you can find current. Like the pennywort mats that I were flipping, they were actually current breaks. Like the tip of the mat would have current coming around it. And you can imagine a 3 foot back in the mat is just like a big eddy in this current. So it's a super high percentage area. And I was running those literally from Palatka all the way down to Dexter and turn around and running them back. And that was the highest percentage stuff I could find. So I was running it anywhere I could see it.
Wow.
I've never heard the vegetation in the current.
Yeah, the tip of the current, the tip of the mat had current running around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously you could see how it was like pushing the current out away from the bank. And same thing happens with some docks that I was fishing and stuff like that. But the actual mat was an eddy. And you can just imagine, like the tip of the mat would be sitting in 4 to 8 foot of water.
Right.
The back of the mat is sitting in 1 to 2 foot of water, and there's no current, and the fish are literally 2 foot away from current ripping by their face. So super good thing to target anywhere. Probably shouldn't have said that, but super good thing to target anywhere you see that.
That was my question. I mean, there's 85 guys out here, so it's a smaller field, but a lot of guys have had history on the St. John's. Did you have that pattern all to yourself? I mean, were you able to just go here, and not have to worry about anyone else?
I never saw anybody doing it in the Astor area. So the Astor area, I don't know if y'all are familiar with St. John's. It's in between Lake George and Dexter. It's like probably a 8 or 10 mile stretch, but 30 mile per hour zone, and everybody was in there rotating these pad fields. And the problem with fishing a pad field is if you get on a bad stretch of pads, it takes you 2.5, 3 hours to fish a stretch of pads efficiently. And if you're on just a bad rotation of pads, you're not getting many bites a day. You're wasting half your day on one pad field. So what I was trying to do was hit these higher percentage areas, just make sure that I got more bites than the average guy. So everybody else was running the pad fields, and I would pull up in between the pad fields on these channel swing banks or any kind of pinch points. And then I would just pull up and flip 3 or 4 mats and run to the next channel swing or the next pinch point, because Dexter and George are big lakes, and St. John's River actually has current more than tide. They have current all the time coming out. And if you can find those pinch points, I never saw the tide going backwards on those pinch points. On the lakes, I could see it. But on the pinch points, the lakes are so big compared to the small parts of the river, current was always coming out, and it was a pretty consistent way to run around and find some high percentage areas.
That's cool.
I'm impressed already.
That's very, very cool. That's some great stuff for everybody watching and listening. All right, Kyle, talk a little bit about what were you using to attack these areas?
So it really varied. So I wasn't only fishing the pennywort mats. I would pull up behind like the manatee zone sign. They got 2 big like power pole legs on them, and those would be a current break. So if I came up to something like that, I would pitch a Cinco out with an 1/8 ounce weight, or if I came up on some reeds or something, I could flip in that with a 1/2 ounce weight. And if I came up on a pennywort mat, I would punch in that with a 1.5 ounce weight. So I was just running the eddies, and I would use everything from like an 1/8 ounce weight or even a wacky rig Cinco. I would use everything from that all the way to an 1.5 ounce weight, just depending on how thick the cover was. So, but the main thing that I started doing late in the day is whenever I would cull almost everything I had after 2 o'clock, they would really just start biting under those pennywort mats. And what they were doing early in the morning, everybody I got out of the pennywort mats was on bottom. It'd be like 6 or 7 foot deep. And then later in the day, for whatever reason, I would punch in those pennywort mats and my bait would fall like 2 inches and the whole mat would shake like a frog bite. Like it'd be like insane. They'd be right under the surface. And I would set the hook and they'd be like 2 inches deep. And I mean, they'd be over 7 feet of water, but they'd be like their backs were laying on the top of the mat. So, I mean, it would have been a lot more fun to throw a frog, but I bet I would have missed them all.
Wow.
But that was something it was really surprising to me. Is early in the morning, I'd catch them on bottom. And then when the sun would get up, it's like they were rubbing their backs against the top of the mats. And I fished Rodman for a couple of days before I went to St. John's River, and it's the literal exact same thing they were doing over there. I would punch in those mats at Rodman, and the whole mat, it looked like an alligator, ran off. And you'd feel the thump, and you'd set the hook. So it was weird how they positioned differently throughout the day. That I guess it's because we was there in a cold front, and they were just trying to rub the top of that mat. I mean, I've seen that a few other times as well, but usually I throw a swim jig to it. This time I was punching because I felt like I wouldn't lose as many punching. A lot of times, though, I would hook them, bury them up in the mat, just have to run the boat up there and go dig them out. But whatever it takes to get them in the boat.
Folks, you talk about these pros, talk about the pattern on the pattern, and when they're dialed, you find what they're doing and then what they're doing on what they're doing. What you guys just heard Kyle talk about was dialing in the pattern on the pattern. That was good stuff, man. Right. Did you do the same thing in the Toyota series the next week? I mean, that big fish was a fluke. Didn't you have another giant on the first day? We're in contention to win that thing last week.
I did. So basically, I left from St. John's River on the day after the tournament. I went south. We went and fished Toho for a day, and then I decided. So I'd already paid for the Costa with the Toyota series on Lake Chickamauga, and they postponed our Elite Series event. So now Chickamauga fell in the off limits. So I called FLW and I tried to get them to refund me. And it's in the rules that they can't do that. But what they did allow me to do was transfer my money to the St. John's River because I was already down there. So I said, all right, transfer. So I left from Toho the day before the tournament, drove up, and I went and I practiced for like 3 hours. And there was one area of the lake that I never got to, because I mean, St. John's River is a pretty vast thing. And if you take time looking for eelgrass and stuff, you can eat up a lot of your practice time. So I didn't practice everywhere I wanted to. And on St. Johns River for the elites. So I went to one other creek that I never saw in practice for the elites. I went in the first canal I went into, and I found like 18 pounds of males on bed. So I was like, oh my God, it's happening. And I mean, well, a lot of people want to go bed fishing, and they're like, oh, I got 3 7-pound females marked. What you're looking for whenever you're bed fishing, especially in Florida, is a big male. Because if you find 4 or 5 3-pound males, you can almost guarantee 2 or 3 of them are still going to be there. You find 3 7-pounders, them suckers will leave if the wind blows. So, the females are not what you're really looking for if you want to be a consistent bed fisher. So I found like 18 pounds of males on bed in these 2 canals. So I leave out of there. I run there straight in the morning, and all the males are gone. But what happened is some new fish had pulled up, and that 8-pounder that I found, I actually caught the male and the female, and they were both locked on a bed. And then on day 2 of the tournament, I went and I kind of beat around and caught enough where I knew for sure I was going to get a check. And then I said, we're going gambling. We're going back to those canals and see if any new ones pulled up. And they did. But for whatever reason on day 2, I got a lot of the bed fish to bite. I got 2 2.5s, and a 4 to bite. I couldn't hook them. I don't know what was happening. They would rip the claws off my bait. I'm talking about, I mean, we've all had that happen to bedfish, but it's just like 8 times in a row of them just not biting right. And I think what happened was there's so much boat pressure in these canals. There'd be 2 or 3 boats in there at a time, and these things are small. And I think the fish are just not that dumb. Like, they know what's up. Every time a trolling motor runs over their head, people are, throwing dust up on the fish. They knew something wasn't right, and I didn't make an adjustment early enough to give up on the bed. I mean, it's hard to, whenever you're looking at a 4 and a 7 on bed, it's hard to leave them. Especially, I knew I was already getting a check. I was like, let's gamble and see if we can make it happen. But no, the question was that I fished the same. I did not fish the same at all. I strictly bed fished in the Toyota series. I was trying to gamble.
That's even more impressive.
I know. It's really cool. All right, Dave on the instant feedback wants to know, what hook do you use to punch with?
I use a Trocar TK 130, the 5-volt most of the time.
All right. Were you glad that they rescheduled Chick? What are your thoughts about back-to-back events?
Back-to-back events, I don't mind it that much, but I really, really like an off day. Me personally, I go, like, if we're allowed to leave the boat ramp at 6:44 in the morning, that's what we were allowed to do on St. Johns River, I'll be in the water at 6:40 waiting until I'm allowed to leave. And I'm going to get back and be island in the last minute I have to take out. So you do that for 3 days in a row practicing, and then you got to wake up and go to a tournament. I mean, I love to fish more than anything, but I still do get a little bit burnt out whenever you're practicing for like 14 hours straight. And the problem with practicing is you don't even really want to catch them. You want to get bites. You shake some off. So it's like even worse. So I like an off day, especially on back-to-back events. But how Chickamauga was going to have to drive from 9 hours the last day of the tournament, start practicing the next day at 10 o'clock a.m. That was going to be a little bit of a stretch. Now, for me, I'm a rookie. To me, all of this is still super exciting. I feel like I would have been able to stay in it a little bit more than guys who've been doing it for 20 years because it's still very exciting to me. But in my opinion, back-to-back tournaments, they do kind of, I don't know, they kind of take away from the first tournament because everybody's all of a sudden focusing on the second one. And it is a lot of travel time and everything in the middle. So ideally, I would say don't do back-to-back tournaments, but they pay a lot of people more money than I make to make those decisions. So I'm probably not qualified.
I mean, you are a rookie technically on the Elite Series in your earnings, but you did fish a year on the FLW Tour. I've been talking about this kind of leading into your interview. Yeah. I remember that day that you had on Table Rock where you were leading the tournament, wearing a T-shirt. You looked like you were about 12 years old. You had like Stacy King and Jason Christie in the top 5 behind you, and everyone's like, "Who is this kid?" I remember were you wearing a Snickers jersey on the weekend? Then did they put you in that thing?
Yeah, it was a Snapple jersey.
A Snapple jersey that was like 3 sizes too big and stuff. So, I mean, that was 2012. So, I mean, does that seem like a lifetime ago? And then to be back on the Elite Series now, just kind of talk about how you ended up at 19 years old fishing the tour for a season.
So, that doesn't even sound like I did that now. Whenever I look back at it, it seems like so far ago. It's like, yeah, that does not seem like that actually happened. But so back then, the tour, the entry fees for the tour back then were like half what they are now. And the payouts were pretty much like exactly the same, if not maybe a little better back then. So I fished locally a lot whenever I was younger. Around the house, we have a lot of really big team tournaments in Alabama. Like, I can fish for now $5,000 to $10,000, probably 30 weekends out of the year within 2 hours of my house in Alabama. So it's like insane, the kind of team tournaments. I'm sure y'all have some of that too over there.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Home in Missouri. I mean, it's crazy. So I fished a lot of the team tournaments, a lot of stuff around here. Then I left Alabama, and I did really well. I shouldn't say left Alabama. I went to college at UAB. And the first 3 qualifiers that we had at UAB, I won all 3 of them. And, you know, there was only like 15 boats at the college, but I won all 3 of them. And then after that, like, my mom was like, we got to figure out some way to get you to fishing, you know, higher level tournaments right now, because obviously you're pretty good at it. Obviously, I actually really wasn't, but I was running good. So when you're 19 years old, it's not possible to fish the FOW tour without a lot of help for your parents. Well, we had a couple other ways that we got some money up, and, you know, because I was pretty well known locally and stuff like that. But we fished the tour, and then the first tournament, I had like terrible decision making, and then I lost a lot of fish. So I was like super spun out. Then the second tournament, we caught them pretty dang good. We had 19, 12 the first day, and then 24-8 the second day on Table Rock. And then I went to Table Rock this past year for it was called the Costa then. And I got there and I was like, dude, there's nothing but 2-pounders in here now. How in the world was we catching 24 and 25 pounds? Because I caught a 24-pound bag. There was like 10 more 20-pound bags that week on the Table Rock. It was insane. Everybody was smashing them. And then I went back this past week and I was like, this past year, I thought we were just going to smash them again. It is not like that now. I realized after I went back how magical that week had to be, not just for me, but for everybody, because that was insane tournament. But yeah, now that I'm on the elites, I feel a lot more like I've earned it, and I guess it's my right to be there now than I did whenever I fished the tour. I was a little bit more shy and timid around the first boat I saw in tournament day on Lake Hartwell, the first tournament, I'm fishing behind a bridge. I hear a boat come in, sit down, out on the bridge is Jimmy Houston. Literally the first boat I saw in competition was Jimmy Houston. So, I mean, I was 19 years old. I didn't really earn my spot there. I didn't feel super comfortable. Now, I don't feel like that at all. I feel like, you know, that's where I'm supposed to be. So we're a lot better off now anyways.
All right, man. It was very well documented on a story that was on Bassmaster.com about your involvement with the game of poker and how that really helped you kind of finance some of the things that you had going on. I really want to know, what is the background on that, and how did that whole poker thing get started?
So my grandmother has played poker her entire life. She, you know, used to drive down to Biloxi all the time, Biloxi, Mississippi, and that's who really got me into poker. She used to play in some underground games around Alabama and stuff like that, and she played online a lot. Like you say, Bodog. I heard y'all talking about Bodog.
Yeah.
Well, Bodog now is called Bovada online. And whenever I was like 17, 18 years old, I started playing on the internet a pretty good bit. And it wasn't long until I started to. So I lost, had to redeposit, and I'm talking about deposit like $20. And then I started to win consistently. And then whenever I was probably 19 years old, or the summer of I was 19 or 20, I went down to Florida, because in Florida and in Oklahoma, I believe you're allowed to play poker at 18 years old. Well, I think it's Florida, Oklahoma, and New York. You're allowed to play at 18 years old. So I went down to Florida when I was like 19 years old with like $1,000 in my pocket that I had won playing online poker. So I go down there and I end up staying like 2 months. And I obviously, if you're going to stay 2 months in Florida with $1,000, you probably got to make a lot of money. So the first year I went down there and I'm like, man, we blew a lot of money. Me and my now wife, we would go in there, we would rent jet skis, and we'd go eat fancy Japanese food and stuff like that. And I mean, I got back after we'd been down there for like 2 months, because she was still in college at the time. And I was like, man, the amount of money we spent, if we were saving this and documenting this, we could have done pretty well. So I went back I took a few more like week-long trips, started really documenting how much I won, how many hours I played, what stakes I played, where I played, all this kind of stuff. And the next year I went down there and did the same thing, but documented it and stayed in cheap hotels and $8 menu, and we started making some money. So it was at that point the next year that I realized, you know, what was actually possible, and that it was, you know, a fairly consistent thing to do, because everybody's always told me, you got to stay at them casinos. You're going to go broke. That's what everybody says. And for 99% of the population, that's like the best advice you could give. Don't gamble on anything. Don't even buy like a lottery ticket, nothing. But for a few people that have discipline and, a decent understanding of math, or I guess it'd be actually called arithmetic, you can actually make some money and you can be very, very consistent. So after a couple months of doing it consistently and realizing that there's not as much variance in it as people act like, I decided that it was going to be like what I was going to pursue mostly because, fishing, you can't make much money at that until you get literally to like the Elite Series or, the FOW Pro Circuit or something like that. Even like if you're going to fish the Toyota Series, the amount of money you have to win in a year, like the performance you have to profit is insane. It's like a career year to profit at a Toyota Series. So poker, I can literally take $1,500 and probably go to Florida right now and make $20 an hour minimum. So it's crazy. And if I take 10 grand down there, I could start out making $48 an hour. So it just makes way more sense to start playing poker whenever you have limited funds than to start fishing. So I played poker primarily. I would come home, fish some BFL, stuff like that. Played poker primarily until literally 2018. I spent 5 months in Vegas, 2 months in California, a month in Mississippi. And then, I was making a lot of money, but I really wasn't happy. And me and my wife were talking about it. And she was all for me trying and take one more shot at fishing because, in the back of your mind, you're always like, man, I could do it. I know I could do it. But I didn't want to be the guy that's at the local pop tournament talking about, I could have fished with them. I just didn't because I had kids or, all this kind of stuff, these excuses. I never wanted to make excuses. So I said, we're going to try. We're going to fish the opens and the coastas, and we're going to try to qualify for something and give it one more shot because even making a decent amount of money playing poker, I wasn't really happy. So we took a shot, fished the opens, fished the coastas, and it seemed like that's where I was supposed to be. That's just everything started lining up. Everything went well. And it just seems like that's where I was supposed to be. I wasn't supposed to be playing poker. I still love playing poker. And one of the best things so I always think about fishing. Matt's probably the same way because he fishes a ton. I cannot go like even a day without thinking about fishing. So whenever I play poker, I can sit down at a poker table for 8 or 10 hours and not think about fishing because I'm so in the game. So that's like the only time I can get an actual long break from fishing is if I go somewhere and play poker for a few days. I'll forget about fishing for 3 days, and that's the only way I can do it. So I think I still need to play poker some to keep that balance. But for the most part, this year, I want to focus on fishing because you can lose playing poker for 2 or 3 days. So if you go play, just a couple days, you can lose. And I don't want to leave a casino pissed off and have to go to an elite event. So I'm going to try to limit the poker playing this year, but I'm sure I'll find a way to play a few times.
What you're talking about, folks, when he's talking about per hour, he's not just going in, putting money in, playing tournaments. You have a strategy where you're playing specific premium hands, and, based on what you're doing, you might play for 5 hours and play 2 or 3 hands during that 5 hours, but what it averages out to is you walk out $100 up after 5 hours. It's $20 per hour. You stick to that system, and that kind of mitigates the chance and it kind of enhances the skills and puts the odds in your favor. That's where you're talking about kind of the discipline that it takes to play like that, kind of to make money. There's a bunch of guys who do that. Were you the guy who had walked in with the hoodie and the sweatpants on and just kind of meandered through the slots into the poker room and everyone was like, oh, Kyle's here? So
at first, I wasn't like that. But at first, whenever I played the lower stakes, the 1-2 and the 1-3, which is what you can make $20, $25 an hour at, I was more like that because you have a huge player pool whenever you're playing 1-2 and 1-3. There's, 50 or 60 people a day that are playing. Whenever you get to the higher stakes, like the 2-5s, a lot of times every casino will have 1-2-5 game running a day. And if you just come in and you sit down and you don't talk to people, they're not going to want to play with you very often. So a lot of these guys are coming in. The guys that are losing money, they're coming in and they want entertainment. That's what they're effectively paying for is entertainment. So they come in, they sit down beside you. You need to talk to them. You need to engage with them. Some of them want to be competitive with you. Some of them just want to come in, gamble for a certain amount of money, and have fun. So if you're going to come in and you're just kind of hurting the game because these players not going to want to come back. If you got a hoodie on, you got your Greg Raymer glasses on, you're just trying to steal their money from them is what they think. So you have to kind of engage with these people. You're pretty much providing entertainment because you are the professional. So you have to engage with these guys, make them feel welcome to come back. Well, if you're playing lower stakes, or if you're in Vegas where there's a huge player pool, you don't have to do that as much. But like if you go down to Biloxi, Mississippi, where I go the majority of my time, there's 1-2-5 game a day. And if you piss off 3 of those players and ain't come back, now the game don't run, and you got to play smaller stakes. You're not making near as much money. So, and another thing, I actually do like these guys. It's not like I'm just trying to butter them up and take their money. I like talking to them. I'm sitting there for 8 or 10 hours a day. I want to talk. But so I don't try to be the guy with the hoodie on and the headset and just trying to, take money from people. But a lot of guys are, and everybody's different. But me personally, I don't like doing that. No.
So you made it 7 months in Vegas.
I spent 5 months in Vegas
5 months.
and 2 months in California.
Yeah, that's cool. I want to talk about the Vegas. 5 months in Vegas, surviving on poker winnings.
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta have some good stories from that.
I've played a lot of poker, so a lot of the Vegas stories that I have would be mostly walking down the strip at like 2 a.m. But as far as from the poker table, Vegas, all those guys, especially the guys that run a big poker room, they run a very tight ship. So the guys that are over it, they don't allow much nonsense. They'll kick people out instantly. But walking up and down the strip, there's a lot of different kind of stuff that happens walking down the strip at 2 a.m. That's what I would do.
Did you ever sit down with any of the big guns that just decided to come in and play a 2-5 game?
I did. Bob Bright, who is I think that's his name, Bob Bright. He plays I was literally watching him play for $150,000 in Ivy's room on a live stream from Aria. And the next day I walk in, he sits down 2 seats to my left playing 2-5 at the Venetian. And I'm like, what in the heck is this guy doing over here? And he's like I don't know if that's his name for sure, but he was a world famous blackjack player. And I think his name's Bob Wright. He's an older guy with glasses. And he's well known for making millions and millions of dollars counting cards playing blackjack, but now he's not allowed to play blackjack anywhere in Vegas. And he was playing at the Venetian, literally 2 seats to my left, buying in for $1,000. And I did play with a few more guys who were like 5'10" or 10-20 guys in Vegas that I would know, but the general population wouldn't know them. But they're really, really, really good poker players that I played with. And you kind of stay out of those guys' way and kind of watch how they handle themselves. And for the most part, everybody plays about the same. But the thing that I'm very quick to deviate from, I'll call it basic strategy. As soon as I have a profile of how I think Matt would play and Mark. So I would deviate extremely quickly. And quicker than some people, because if I see somebody that I think's folding too much, I'm going to instantly start trying to bluff them more often. If I think somebody's calling too much, I'm going to instantly stop bluffing them, because you don't want to bluff somebody that is calling a lot. And from Mark's perspective, you don't want to bluff somebody that's got pocket aces all the time.
All right. A couple of quick questions from the instant feedback. What's the biggest one-day winnings that you had in your poker time?
4,600 in one day.
All right. What's the flip side of that?
1,700.
You lost 1,700 in one day.
Yeah. I've lost 1,700 twice. Yeah.
Wow. Easier to go on tilt at the poker table or on the water?
On the water, and the reason for that is on the poker table, if I play a hand, I can punch it into a calculator or figure out what my expected value on the hand was. If I lost money, or if I played a hand wrong, I can learn it mathematically if I did something wrong. In fishing, you can screw up and not even know what you did sometimes. So it is very frustrating.
All right. Is fishing gambling?
In my definition, gambling is, like a 50-50 coin flip is a gamble. So fishing, there is variance in fishing. I will say that. But guys like John Cox, Scott Martin, Brian Thrift, Jacob Wheeler, there ain't no 50-50 chance with these guys. They obviously have a very pronounced edge. So I would say there is variance in fishing, but there's also an edge to be had. That's why I don't consider poker gambling, because you can have an edge. And if you have an edge, you're going to win more often than the other person. So I consider fishing to have a lot of variance, but I don't consider it gambling.
All right. Interesting question on the instant feedback from Jake in Ohio. He talks about for years poker players would do an act called selling action, or they sold their action to players that would actually back them. What he wants to know is, do you know if that situation has ever occurred, or have you sold any action when it comes to bass fishing?
I never have. I'm sure it has happened. Like it has to, because the entry fees are just so high. But I would say that selling action in bass fishing is not nearly as profitable as selling action in poker, because in poker you've got like some $400 entry fee tournaments where first place is like 150 or 200K. So obviously somebody can, buy $100 worth of your action, which is 25%, and possibly win like $30,000 or $40,000. In bass fishing, it's like, you pay my entry fees, you give me 15 grand, you might get back 25,000 whenever I win 100. So yeah, it's not as profitable in fishing, but I'm sure somebody has done it as far as an investor.
James Biggs did it 100% the first year that he fished the tour out when he wasn't the living the dream guy. You bought shares of Biggs depending on how much, and the whole deal was that the cup that year was on the Red River that he thought he had a good shot of winning at $500,000. So everybody bought in for his entry fees based on what percentage there is. In the end, he ended up missing the cup by like 2 spots, but everybody got their money back, and he broke even for the year.
Yeah. All right. Jake in Ohio wants to know, favorite place to play in Vegas?
The Mandalay Bay, and they normally have small games, but every once in a while you'll get on the Bravo Poker app and you'll see they'll have a big game running, and so they have a lot of conventions at the Mandalay Bay, car conventions, jewelry conventions, and sometimes those games are ridiculous. So I always keep an eye out for Mandalay Bay. When a game comes together there, it's usually good.
All right. David in Wisconsin wants to know, is your retirement plan, once you get to the point where you don't want to tournament fish anymore, to play poker full time?
It could be. I don't think so. Right now, that's not my plan, but it definitely could happen. I think poker's going to change a lot before I get there. So I'll probably have to go back to the bottom of the learning curve. There'll probably be a new game that's more popular, like Pot Limit Omaha or something like that. So it could be. I would be open to it, but that's not the plan right now.
All right. Dave and Jake and several other people, they want to know what your favorite starting hand is.
9-7 of clubs is my favorite starting hand. But if you're going to deal me one, I would prefer pocket ace.
9-7. So you like the sneaky. You like to try to catch like the straights, the flushes on the low end, and get people with pocket queens, pocket kings to go along, and then hit them on the river.
Right. So anything like that. But those hands, people overplay them a lot, and people play those hands a lot less profitably than they think. So if you can. But I do prefer those hands. But a lot of times I'll play them a little deceptively. Like I might raise an early position with 9-7 of clubs, and then you're going to think I've got pocket jacks or something like that. Then, I play my hand very, very balanced so that I know, so that you can't tell exactly what I've got. So, but 9-7 of clubs, I'm just kind of partial to that when I get it.
All right, very nice.
Definitely want to mention you have a very solid YouTube channel. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I mean, you post like every 2 days. Every 3 days, you already have your recaps up from the St. Johns River, about 10,000 subscribers just fixing to hit 10K. Talk a little bit about how that works in, and then how you've been able to grow such a big base not fishing on tour. I mean, you've got a lot of support, a lot of followers, comments, interaction on your YouTube channel.
Right. That actually started off rather selfishly. I started so I paid my deposit to fish the FOW Tour in 2019. I paid in the fall of 2018. And everybody I came to get sponsors, they always wanted to know about what's your social media numbers like. And at that point, I had literally terrible numbers. So I said, I've always wanted to do this. Let's start a YouTube channel, make myself look a little better on paper. Well, after about 2 months of doing it, all the interactions that I got to have with these people, and it actually, the fishing community is the only one I've ever seen where 95 or more percentage of my comments are positive. Like, I mean, positive. Everybody, acts like they love me. You go any other demographic on YouTube specifically, 50-50 is hard to find. Yeah. I mean, in the fishing community, so I get to interact with all these people constantly. So after 2 or 3 months of posting videos regularly, people reaching out, me talking to people in the comments, I really, really started to enjoy it. So I started ramping up the YouTube posts. I would post more. I would interact more. I would reply to every single comment I've got. And then, I mean, people have watched me. Literally, the first videos I posted, I had just moved to Cleveland, Tennessee, fishing Lake Chickamauga off the bank out of my old Cadillac because I had a boat, but I hadn't moved it up there yet. And I was fishing off the bank, and people watched me from literally bank fishing, go to the Costas, go to the Opens, qualify for the Elites and the Tour, pick the Elites. People feel invested. Like they feel like they've been here for the entire time, and a lot of them actually have. So they're really a part of the channel, and that's why people keep watching. Everybody's like, tells me they've been watching me for 2 years, or I haven't even been doing YouTube for 2 years, but people do tell me that all the time. And I mean, they feel invested in the channel, and I really appreciate that. And they love to comment, they like to talk to me. So it really became something I really, really enjoy when I didn't think it would be, and I kind of started it selfishly. But now I'm super glad I did. I love interacting with all the people.
Hey, real quick, Mike in Tennessee would like to know, how tough or easy do you think that the Chick would be with all the flood and all the flow?
It would be tougher than it will be if it's low and clear, but it'll be even playing field. So you take somebody like Buddy Gross, who knows every single rock pile in 12 feet of water, and let that water get clear, and he's going to be a monster. You let the water get high and muddy, it's going to be tough for anybody to really, really have an advantage. So you got to run down the bank and be efficient. So it would have been an even playing field. I'm not going to say it would be tough because it is Chickamauga, but it'd be even.
Do you think they'll still have the BFL there? I know they have a BFL coming up pretty soon.
I have no idea. I didn't even know they were having one.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna have to go with Chris Zaldain. I don't know if you talked to him in the first tournament, but Chris will take an evening and go play a little 1-2.
Oh yeah.
Especially up there in New York, there's that casino right up there on the border of Canada, St. Lawrence River, about a 50-mile drive up there. Great little poker room up there.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, a lot of people want to know: are you going to be at the Classic?
Right now, I have no obligations to be there, but I might show up. I've never been to a Classic before, so I may go. I kind of would like my first one to be me fishing it, but that's not like a guarantee. So I'll probably have to go. But right now, I have no sponsor obligations to be there at all. I might go for the last day or something.
All right, what's the business side been like your rookie season?
If I did not have YouTube, I can tell you I probably would have got $0 of sponsor money. But it actually ended up coming together and being a pretty good year. It did better than I expected. A lot of the people that I got with are really, really good fits. Like I've always made my own stuff. I made jigs, I've altered spinner baits and stuff like that. And I got with this company, Fuji and Point Blank rods, and I have to literally build my own fishing rod. But after doing that, I've got rods that weigh 1 ounce to 1.5 ounces lighter than almost every other rod that you can find mass produced. So I feel like that's a really good fit for me because that's something I'm interested in doing. So the companies that I did end up partnering with are really, really good fits. And I'm like super happy with the way that it turned out. Because I got to admit, in November, I was really scrambling. I was like, we got to pay for all this ourselves. It's going to be a stressful year. But it really came together. Like it honestly feels like I'm supposed to be doing this because everything kind of just fell into place.
Was it a decision for you whether to go with the Pro Circuit or the Elite Series? Because I know you double qualified for both of those.
Right. No, it really wasn't a decision. I could see how it would be for some people, but for me personally, from the time I got the Elite invite, I knew I was going to the Elites. And I mean, it shows with how every single person that received an Elite invite this year, including the 75 for last year or the 11 new one, every single person took the Elite invite. Nobody at all declined an invite to fish the Elites this year. Not a single person. So it just shows, how Bassmaster's headed.
All right, man. When Matt and I were out on the trails covering you guys, when they had an off day for some reason, be it weather, be it whatever the situation might be, even during practice, there would be some games that take place during the week during practice session. Does that take place now? Do you guys have any home games or anything like that with some of the guys?
Well, the article that Bassmaster has posted might have kind of hurt my action a little bit as far as that. Because if there is a poker game somewhere, I have not been invited to it just yet.
Yeah.
I'm open though. I'm open.
Very nice.
You could always you got a bunch of fishermen aren't known to make the smartest decisions from now to then. You go get guys to play a home game with you.
Yeah.
Just carry the chips to the truck.
Very nice.
Right.
All right, man. Can't thank you enough. Great
Yeah, it's good
interview.
stuff.
Dude, you've got your game together, and I am becoming rapidly a Kyle Welcher fan.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's good stuff. All right, Matthew, anything else, man?
No, I mean, I was spot on. We do a fantasy league draft where it's just like a football draft where you get 10 guys and they each get to pick 5 guys for their team. And I took Kyle in the 4th round. And
I took Kyle. I
thought
Kyle
it was a
mine,
value bet because I get to pick him. I'm like, well, this guy, I mean, I kind of watched some of the YouTube stuff. I'm like, he's been around. Now I'm really glad. I did put him on the bench for Florida, which was a mistake. But you're back in the starting lineup for the rest of the year after this.
All right, very cool. All right, Kyle, man, thank you so much. Best of luck to you on down the road, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, I appreciate it. See y'all guys.
All right, there you have it, Kyle Welcher. Very, very cool stuff, Matthew.
Yeah, I don't care if people didn't really understand some of that poker talk. If you don't,
There's a lot of people on the
I
instant
know there
feedback
were,
that
but that was kind of selfish for us too. That was really cool stuff. The way he was talking about that. And I mean, I wouldn't say that. Okay, like you went and got an accounting degree. Had started working at a finance degree, had started with the 401k and health benefits and retirement right out of there at UPS and put in your 25 years.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't really a safe plan compared to what you did.
No.
But dude, it sounds like he's kind of got it figured out.
He does. And it's weird. We have talked on the show before about some of the strategy in poker, compared it to fishing, and the analytical aspect, the mathematical aspect. Yeah, that is a huge part of poker, but at the same time, strategy plays into it. And his story at the beginning of the interview about what he did at the St. Johns River was fascinating to me.
I had not heard of that pattern before, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if he fished a little bit like the TVA lakes, talking about using the tide and the current there, where fish position, obviously along that TVA current-driven system where you're talking about, breaks and back eddies and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was good stuff. I really enjoyed that interview. That's a good setup.
Yeah, first time on the show, we're going to have him
and I
back
did
on.
look, man, he started that YouTube channel. He had it 4 years ago with like a couple hundred views, but then a year ago, I mean, you're talking a couple hundred views, 1,000 views, 1,520. I mean, now, he's already hit 10K on views for his first 2 Elite Series ones.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Tomorrow, Matt Herron going to join us. First time he's on the show this year. Off to a decent start on the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Looking forward to the Classic. Has to be. He's got to be in the top of your Vegas odds.
Yeah, he'll be up there. And then a quick appearance by very busy Mr. Chris Prather, the U.S. Open taking place this week in Bowling in Lincoln, Nebraska. And as I mentioned yesterday, a few fans are going to venture
to Lincoln to watch him.
He's
got to be one of the top 5 hottest bowlers in the world right now.
He is. He is the number one ranked bowler.
And a huge fishing fan.
Yeah.
He's the Jacob Wheeler of bowling right now.
He is. We're going to take a trip to Texas in August.
Minus, I don't think he says ding every time he gets a strike. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying. You catch the fish, you say what the hell you want. You knock the pins over, you say what the hell you want.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, everybody, be safe. Coming back at you tomorrow, same time, right here on BTL. That's it. We're out of here.